All right, today we're going to take a look at the cheap stabilizer from Kamerar. This one doesn't have as much fine tuning as some of the other stabilizers, but it is cheap and it's a good start. The gimbal here is using a universal joint. This is not the thin Traxxas U-joints that some people use on their DIYs. This is a custom-made U-joint here. It looks real similar to what Optica is using in their SteadyVid Pro. So you can see this gimbal spins underneath, and then there's a U-joint up on top here. The stage doesn't have the fine tuning left and right, and I'll show you how to kind of counterbalance any offset through the counterweights. The top stage here has camera placement forward and back, and underneath you have several options to mount the gimbal. The only problem I see with this is that if you mount your gimbal too far forward, you're really close to hitting this post here, so that doesn't leave you a lot of room. But you do have a lot of room moving the gimbal backwards along some of the threads here. So here I have a Canon, what is this, 5D Mark II Sigma 20mm f1.8 macro. And I balanced this earlier, so I know that my placement for this gimbal is going to be on the third screw from the front. So that just threads in there. I know that my camera is going to be placed somewhat in the far rear. Now I haven't balanced a lighter camera, but you should be able to. There's also threads in the front here if you want to add some additional weight. If your camera's not heavy enough and it's leaning backwards, you can add some weights here. I didn't need to do that with this setup. Now I'm just using all the stock equipment that came with the camera. And I'm using all the weights that were provided to counterbalance the 5D Mark II and the Sigma 20mm. So as you can see, this has a slot for the counterweight here, and what that does is when you mount the counterweight to the bottom, you can raise the weights higher towards the camera, and that would make it less bottom heavy, or you can extend it further down, that would make it more bottom heavy. There's also two threads on the bottom here, depending how high you want to mount the counterweight or how low you want to mount it. For this amount of weight here, I have to mount it at the bottom. But even though I'm mounting it on the bottom thread, I'm going to kind of push this up slightly because I don't need it to be that heavy. So by moving it closer to the camera and closer to the center of balance here, it's going to make it less bottom heavy. So we'll take a look at that real quick. All right, so this is just picking it up off the table. As you can see, it's kind of leaning back and it's leaning off to the right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just center everything out. And I'm going to move my camera forward. I'm going to loosen it up on the stage a little bit. I'm going to shift my camera forward. Now it's getting there. It's not leaning so far back. So this offset right now, you see how it's leaning over to the right? I'm going to take this weight and I'm going to swing the counterweight over to the other side. Actually, there you go. It's almost pretty centered, and I have a bubble level back here. So this should give me some fairly smooth movements, keeping the horizon level as I'm walking around. It does take some practice to work with any stabilizer, but you can see that's how I balance this one, is shifting the camera a little bit forward because it was leaning back too much. And then also swinging the counterweight to the opposite side to kind of keep the horizon level. Now, to know that you have enough weights down here, one of the common tests is what they call the drop test. So if you lean your camera off to the side and you slowly drop it, it should come down slowly. It shouldn't have like a really harsh drop. So this could actually be lightened up a little bit. Now to lighten the counterweight again, I would just take this slot here, and then I would shift the weights slightly upwards, and that would make it less heavy at the bottom. So it takes a little bit of fine tuning. You would loosen this knob up, slide the weights upwards a little bit, and that would make it less bottom heavy. But for the most part, this is fairly good. Not too bad.